This is a study of chapters 5 and 6 of the book of 2 Kings. In the last lesson, I intended to imply that for every 4 miracles that God performed through Elijah was doubled in Elisha, his student. Actually, I meant to say each 4 was doubled. Elijah was responsible for God's performance of 8 miracles, and Elisha doubled that double portion that he received, so that he was able to do 16 miracles. Of course, God doing the miracles, but working through these 2 prophets who were sent to that northern tribe to try to turn them back to the one true God. Chapter 5, verse 1. Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. Now Jesus mentions this in Luke chapter 4:27, quotes this, and he himself chose a woman of Sidon to send a leper to. This Naaman would have been a general, a commanding officer under Ben-Hadad II. Verse 2. And the Syrians had gone out by companies and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's wife. Now these companies would have been marauding bands who moved in and about Israel, and this young girl would have been sold as a servant. Verse 3. And she said unto her mistress, Would God, my lord, small l, meaning Naaman, were with the prophet that is in Samaria, for he would recover him his leprosy. The girl is correct that God will be able to work through Elisha, but Elisha himself on his own has no power to heal. 4. And one went in and told his lord, small l, meaning Naaman, saying, Thus and thus saith the maid that is of the land of Israel. 5. And the king of Syria said, Go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed and took with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of raiment. This would have been quite a valuable set of gifts to offer for the king there in Israel. The king in Israel, of course, would have been Jehoram. That was the second son of Ahab. The first son died without leaving an heir, and of course God had told Ahab that his progeny would be limited as for their rulership over the country because of his evil ways. 6. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now, when this letter is come unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman, my servant, to thee, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy. Now we're going to see that Jehoram is going to take this the wrong way. 7. And it came to pass, when the king of Israel, Jehoram, had read the letter, that he rent his clothes and said, Am I God to kill and make alive, that this man doth send unto me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh quarrel against me. So he presents himself as fearful. He has the idea that this leper who is being sent will be a spy to give some kind of trouble for him. 8. And it was so, when Elisha, the man of God, had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know there is a prophet in Israel, a true prophet of the one true God, and not a Baal prophet or a grove prophet such as his parents had in place. 9. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariot, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. So he went to the house. This would have been a long, hard journey, and with all of that gifting, the talents of silver and the gold and the clothes, he would have had quite a retinue of servants who would have been following after him. 11. But Naaman was wroth. 10, And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thou shalt be clean. Now we're going to see that this is an insult to Naaman. Naaman takes it as an insult. But when Naaman 11 was wroth, and went away, and said, Behold, I thought he will surely come out to me, and stand, and call on the name of the Lord his God, and strike his hand over the place, and recover the leper. That strike, zaruf, in the Hebrew, zara, struck by God, is the prime of that Hebrew word. He has insulted that this prophet did not come in person, but just sent word. 12. Are not Abana and Pharpar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. Now Damascus, of course, would have been the capital of Syria, and those 2 rivers were rivers in his home country. So he is rather insulted and angry. 13. And his servants came near and spake unto him, and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee do some great thing, wouldst thou not have done it? How much rather then, when he said to thee, Wash and be clean? So they've said, if he asks you to climb a mountain or jump over a high rock or whatever, would you have done it? But it was a simple thing, just go and wash, and you think it is not good enough. 14. Then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. His skin was not only recovered, but it was new and dewy, like that of a little child. 15. And he returned to the man of God, he and all his company, and came and stood before him. And he said, Behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth, but in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. Now pagan persons such as Naaman thought that every country had its own God, and he's assuming here, in the way that that is stated, that the God of Elisha is just the God of Israel. And he's going to offer all these prized possessions. But he said, this is Elisha speaking, as the Lord liveth, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. He is showing himself to be true to God. He is not going to take money. And of course, we have many false teachers and false prophets who work for money today. Jesus, when he sent out his disciples in Matthew 10, verse 8, he said, Go forth, cleanse and cast out devils, and freely receive, freely give. No pay, they were told. You don't take any pay for using the gifts that I have given you. 17. And Naaman said, Shall there not then, I pray thee, be given to thy servant 2 mules burden of earth? For thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto the Lord. Once again, this is the indication that he assumes that our God is just the God of Israel, and he wants to take 2 loads of earth from Israel home with him so that he could stand on it and make an offering rather than stand on the soil of Israel. 18. In this thing the Lord pardon thy servant, that when my master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, when I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, the Lord pardon thy servant in this thing. So he is saying, when I go in to Rimmon to worship deity, their deity was a storm god, and I want you to know that I am required to do that, but I ask pardon for doing so. 19. And he said unto him, this is Elisha speaking, Go in peace. So he departed him a little way. 20. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, Behold, my master hath spared Naaman this Syrian in not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as the Lord liveth, I will run after him and take something of him. So he has sworn an oath here, and he is showing greed. He intends to run after and to at least get a little bit of all these prized possessions, silver and gold and clothing. 21. So Gehazi followed after Naaman, and when Naaman saw him running after him, he lighted down from the chariot to meet him and said, "Is all well?" And that would mean, is everything okay? Not only that, but is shalom is what that means, well, in the Hebrew language. So we've been told that you can't serve God and mammon. We were told that in Matthew 6:24. And this servant here is very interested in mammon. And he said, "All is well. My master hath sent me," that's a lie, "saying, Behold, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray thee, a talent of silver and 2 changes of garments." He's told a big lie. He's saying that these students, sons of the prophets, those are students who were in the school of prophecy, need would like to have this and need this. Well, he's telling a lie. He wants it for himself. And he's 23, and Naaman said, "Be content, take 2 talents." And he urged and bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 changes of garments, and laid them upon 2 of his servants, and they bare them before him. He not only doubled what this con man asked for, but he gave orders for his servants to carry it for him. 24. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand and bestowed them in the house, and he let the men go, and they departed. Now that tower would have been a secret hiding place and would be in Elisha's very home. 25. But he went in and stood before his master, and Elisha said unto him, Whence comest thou, Gehazi? And he said, thy servant went no whither. He's told another lie. He said he didn't go anywhere. 26, and he said unto him, Went not mine heart with thee when the man turned again from his chariot to meet thee? It is time to receive money and to receive garments, and olive yards and vineyards and sheep and oxen and men servants and maid servants. So not only he would have likely taken anything that he could have gotten. 27. The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto thee and unto thy seed forever. And he went out from his presence a leper as white as snow. Zarah in the Hebrew, leprosy. And it would have been advanced stage leprosy because he had already turned white. Chapter 6, verse 1. And the sons of the prophets said unto Elisha, Behold now, the place where we dwell with thee is too strait for us. So these are the students that likely would have been in Jericho, where one of the schools of prophecy was, and they are complaining that their quarters are very, very much too small for them. 2. Let us go, we pray thee, unto Jordan, and take thence every man a beam, and let us make us a place there where we may dwell. And he answered, Go ye. And we feel sure that this is Jericho because it would have been near Jordan where they are going to go and get materials to build. 3. And one said, Be content, I pray thee, and go with thy servants. And he answered, I will go. Elisha speaking. So he went with them, and when they came to Jordan, they cut down wood. But as one was felling a beam, the axe head fell into the water, and he cried and said, Alas, master, for it is borrowed. And that word probably should be translated begged, and that would have been iron and a heavy axe head, and it's lost, and it's very much needed. And we will see a miracle from God through Elisha. 6. And the man of God said, Where fell it? And he showed him the place, and he cut down a stick and cast it thither, and the iron did swim. Miracle. Iron can't swim. If you throw a piece of iron into water, it will go to the bottom and it will stay there unless it can be retrieved. 7. Therefore said he, Take it up to thee. And he put out his hand and took it. That's that student. 8. Then the king of Syria warred against Israel and took counsel with his servants, saying, In such and such a place shall be my camp. This is Ben-Hadad speaking, and he's warning that he's going to set up a camp, military, within the border of the country of Israel, and this has been going on for decades. Wars, there are little skirmishes, and they get a victory and then go back to idolatry, the Israelites, and God simply let the Syrians in. So we learn from this that when we turn our back on God, he will back up and let our enemies take after us. 8. Then 9, And the man of God sent unto the king of Israel, saying, Beware that thou pass not such a place, for thither the Syrians are come down. So Elisha has gone once again to warn King Jehoram about the Assyrians. 10. And the king of Israel sent to the place which the man of God told him, and warned him of, and saved himself there, not once, but nor twice. Not once nor twice, but several times that this happened, that Israel was able to save. And it, of course, was not through Elisha, but through God. Verse 11. Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled for this thing, and he called his servants and said unto them, Will ye not show me which of us is for the king of Israel? He's saying, one of you has been a spy and got out and given word to the king of Israel. That's how we were caught. 12. And one of his servants said, None, my lord, O king, but Elisha the prophet, that is in Israel, telleth the king of Israel the words that thou speakest in thy bedchamber. Now, how does he do that? How does he know the private carryings on and conversations of Ben-Hadad? Because God gives it to him. 13. Ben-Hadad speaking. And he said, Go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him. And it was told him, saying, Behold, he is in Dothan. Now that would have been about 12 miles north of Samaria. And that place has another part of importance in our historical Old Testament. In Genesis 37, we learn that it was the very place where Joseph's brothers sold him to the Ishmaelites to go to Egypt. 14. Therefore sent he thither hence, and horses and chariots and a great host, and they came by night and compassed the city around. So they came in horses, and they made a circle around the city. Now, was that a smart, wise thing? We'll see. 15. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, a host compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him, Alas, my master, what shall we do? 16. And he answered, Fear not, for they be with us are more than they that be with them. When God and his host is with us, we don't need to fear. Our army is bigger than any they can raise. 17. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. So they're seeing vehicles from heaven and horses. That's God's army. 18. And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed unto the Lord and said, Smite this people, I pray thee, with blindness. And he smote them with blindness according to the word of Elisha. And those chariots of fire, Ezekiel 1, we learn about those, and they are called amber, and that word, if it's taken to the Hebrew, are polished, highly polished brass. Those little, not small, those chariots of fire that can whiz and turn and zip around. Now, he's asked that they be blinded. 19. And Elisha said unto them, 18. And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed, and he smote them with blindness. Yes, we did 18, and they were indeed blinded. 19. And Elisha said unto them, This is not the way, neither is this the city. Follow me, and I will bring you to the man you seek, for he led them to Samaria. So he is going to lead them away. 20. And it came to pass when they were come into Samaria that Elisha said, Lord, open the eyes of these men that they may see. And the Lord opened their eyes, and they saw, and behold, they were in the midst of Samaria. Now that's the capital city. That's not that little place called Dothan. 21. And the king of Israel, Jehoram, said unto Elisha when he saw them, My father, shall I smite them? Shall I smite them? Now that's the second time we've seen that my father, and it's simply honorific, a title of respect. 22. And he answered, Thou shalt not smite them. Wouldst thou smite those whom thou hast taken captive with thy sword? And with thy bow set bread and water before them, that they may eat and drink and go to their master. They are prisoners of war. He is not to smite them, but to let them go. And this will be a lesson to the Syrians. They can't stand against the strength of the God of Israel. 23. And he prepared great provision for them, and when they had eaten and drunk, he sent them away, and they went to their master. So the bands of Syria came no more unto the land of Israel. Now those, once again, would have been bands of marauders, not out war. 24. And it came to pass after this that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his host and went up and besieged Samaria. 25. And there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and the part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. Now, this is a little bit confusing because the ass's head would have very little meat on it, but it cost a great deal. And this cab of dove's dung, now dung would have been for fertilizer. They don't have any crops. They don't have anything that needs fertilizer. Smith's Bible Dictionary clears this matter by telling us that this cab of dove's dung is actually a chickpea, a garbanzo bean, and Strong's Concordance tells us that the translation should be a vegetable. So it's a little bit misleading in the translation, but it's with the right tools easy to straighten out. 26. And the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall. There cried a woman unto him, saying, Help, my lord, O king. 27. And he said, If the Lord do not help thee, whence shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor or out of the wine press? She is saying, we are starving, and we would, that barn floor, that would be the threshing floor where wheat is threshed, and of course the wine press where where wine is made. So he is simply saying, I can't help you. You need to ask God. 28. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, This woman said unto me, Give thy son that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. And of course, we know in the famine there in Samaria, Amos chapter 8 tells us that the famine of the end time will be famine for the word of God. And we learn in Leviticus 26 that this famine can result in bad turns of events, eating one another. 29. So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, Give thy son that we may eat him. and she hath hid her son. 30. And it came to pass, when the king heard of the words of the woman, that he rent his clothes, and he passed by upon the wall, and the people looked, and behold, he had sackcloth within upon his flesh. He is wearing the clothes of mourning. He's paraded around here, putting on a show to please the people. Has he repented? No, he has not. 31. Then he said, God do so and more also to me, the head of Elisha, the son of Shaphat, shall stand on him this day. He did not humble himself to God. He just said he'd just have Elisha beheaded. 32. But Elisha sat in his house, and the elders sat with him, but the king sent a man from before him. But ere the messenger came to him, he said to the elders, See how this son of a murderer hath sent to take away mine head. Look, when the messenger cometh, shut the door, and hold him fast at the door. It is not the sound of his master's feet behind him. So he's going to get out and have Elisha beheaded. Elisha has called him the son of a murderer, and his father, of course, was Ahab. And he is going to shut the door. 33. And while he yet talked with them, behold, the messenger came down unto him and said, Behold, this evil is of the Lord. What should I wait for the Lord any longer? And that messenger is Malek in the Hebrew, and it is mistranslated here because the incorrect placement of a little mark called an Aleph, and this is actually the king himself who has come, the messenger. This is the conclusion of chapters 5 and 6, the great book of 2 Kings. Thank you. And this is an outreach of the Essex Methodist Church in Essex, Missouri, and the Crossroads Global Methodist Church in Dexter, Missouri.